drives you? What inspires you? Let's ignite your why. Welcome back to Ignite Your Why podcast. I'm your host, Austin T. Gullett, and today we're having Life Talks with Austin. Yes, you heard me. We are running it back with Life Talks with Austin, and I am so freaking excited. These conversations are so therapeutic for me, and the feedback you all have given me has been so receptive, and I'm so excited to continue this. Like I said in the past episode, these will be more frequent. You will be getting more solo episodes, and I'm excited to bring you this content. So, what are we going to talk about this week? We are going to talk about self confidence. It is one of the biggest things I struggle with in my life. And you're probably thinking, what? Because I have this podcast and I present myself on social media as a very happy and positive person. But in reality, I have my struggles. And I've said this on this podcast before is people make social media a sexy highlight reel. That is all it is. It's all the good moments in their lives. And it looks like sunshines and rainbows all the time. And in reality, that is not the case. I've struggled with self confidence for such a long time. And when you think of confidence in general, it's just believing in one's abilities that something is going to happen, or just believing in yourself, right? Believing that you are capable of doing anything you put your mind to. And yes, I have moments where my self confidence is through the roof. Like I'm confident. But then there's other times where I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't do this. But when you think about it, I look back on life now that I'm about to be 28. I'm like, damn, I understand why I have self confidence issues. And a lot of it stems from being an athlete. And what I mean by being an athlete is I had a ton of pressure put on me as a child, not from like my parents or anything like that, but I had a lot of pressure put on me by myself. And that pressure came from my coaches because I've always wanted to be the best basketball player, the best soccer player, the best baseball player. I wanted to be the best in the classroom. I wanted to be the best at everything I did. And it caused me to set very unrealistic expectations for myself. I would set the bar so freaking high that half the time those weren't obtainable. I can think back to different moments in my life where, especially like in college, I had a 3.9 GPA one semester and I was pissed that I didn't get a 4.0. But in reality, looking back, you're just like, damn, a 3.9 is good as hell. But for me, I felt like a failure, even though I passed with flying colors. It's just the little things. And I think back to basketball specifically, because I played on three different basketball teams growing up. So there was times where I was playing 8, 9 basketball games a weekend because I played on three different teams. So it was always something. I was always running around, always doing something. But it was the expectations that my coaches put on me that really took a toll on me in life now that I look back. I not gonna lie to you, I was a very, very good basketball player. I was a scorer, a passer, I was quick. I had an all-around game. It was my favorite sport until I finally walked away when I was in high school. Kind of regret it looking back, but everything in life happens for a reason. But there's one specific coach that really just messed with me. And it was Coach Fred, RIP, my guy, rest his soul. But he constantly yelled at me, whether I was having a good game, having a bad game. I was always doing something wrong. It was never I was doing something right. I never heard a good job, keep it up. It was always get back, you need to do this, or made a bad pass, or I took a shot when I could have made a pass. It was always something I was doing wrong. And it got to a point where one day my dad actually asked him, he's like, why are you always yelling at my son? And my son, it wasn't anyone else. He only yelled at me. And he told my dad, he said, because when you yell at Austin, he works harder. And it's always been that way. When people yell at me, I work harder. But now when I'm looking at life, I set these high expectations for me and I work my ass off because I'm afraid to let other people down, if that makes sense. It's like I seek other people's acceptance. I seek to please other people because that's all I did as an athlete growing up is I wanted to please other people. I wanted them to be happy with my performance. But when you look back, it's like, damn, this really does take a toll on you. But it's not even just in sports that I have self-confidence issues. It's with my appearance. Um, I like body shame myself a lot. A lot of the times I'm like, oh, like I'm fat. I hate looking at myself in the mirror. And in reality, I'm not that fat. People tell me all the time, but to me, I feel like I'm a giant whale. And it's just all mental. But it comes with being confident in who I am, being confident in the body I'm in, and just being overall a true cheerleader for myself. That's what it all comes down to. And when you think of how can I improve my self-confidence? And these are things that I have constantly worked on throughout my life. And one is to stop comparing yourself to other people. When you compare yourself to other people, you start to envy yourself because you see their successes, you see all the things they're doing, and you're just like, damn, I want to be there. I want to be able to do what they're doing, or why is it taking me forever to reach my goal? But in reality, we can't compare ourselves to people. We got to continue to believe and trust our own paths because our journey is different. It doesn't matter what Johnny's doing or Susie. Like I said, people have a social media highlight reel, and that's all you see. You don't see the struggle. You don't see the things they went through to get to that point. So stop comparing yourself to other people. And I'm talking to myself a lot when I say that because I do it all the time. I wouldn't say all the time. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I do it often because I see other podcasts and I'm just like, damn, they got viewership, they got listenership, they got 1,000 subscribers. What am I doing wrong? And you start to question yourself. You're like, is this for me? Am I doing something wrong? Am I not good enough? Do you see the trail? Like it all trickles down to negative self talk because when you're comparing, you're thinking, I'm not good enough. And in reality, you are. You have every tool that you need to be successful. You just have to believe that yourself. And it's something I'm learning. It comes and goes. Some days are better than others. And I think that's the thing. But that's one of the major things to do is stop comparing yourself to other people. Number two, the next thing you should do is create boundaries for yourself. You have to feel confident when you have control, right? You feel confidence when you have control. So set boundaries with people. Don't let people walk all over you. Say no sometimes. It is okay. People are always going to ask you to do X, Y, and Z. But sometimes we don't have everything to give. And that's okay. You're in charge of determining what behaviors you will tolerate and which ones you don't want to tolerate. You have that control. You have it. Whether we believe it or not, sometimes we have the ability to control what we can control. And what we can control is what we tolerate. So set those boundaries. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. We all struggle. We all are going to have our ups and downs, but it is definitely something you can do. Do not be afraid to say no because I've always been that yes person where I'm like, yes, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it because I've always wanted to please other people. But sometimes I have to say no. I have to put myself first. Speak up, stand up for yourself. Because I always tell people the only person that really got you the way you got you is yourself. No one's got you like you got you, besides the man above, Lord Jesus Christ. But you have to have your own back. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to say no sometimes. It's hard, but set those boundaries. and things will start to become easier. I've learned that. I've noticed that. I've started setting boundaries with people. I started telling people no because, you got to sometimes. I can only do so much. I only have so much to give, and I want to live a long, healthy life. And if I continue to do myself a disservice by putting others before me, I'll never be successful and I'll never be confident, right? Number three, take care of yourself, right? Take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. Take care of yourself, right? It's easy to get lost in the sauce. It's easy to get lost in what's ever going on in life. But take a step back, breathe, right? Focus on the now. We often lose sight on what really matters, and that's the present moment. We can worry about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. But if we're not living in this moment, we're doing ourselves a huge disservice. And when you start to focus on yourself mentally, physically, you start to feel better about yourself. You start to feel more confident. You'll be like, ooh, I feel sexy. I look sexy. I look good. I feel good. Oh, this outfit makes me look great. Right? It all comes, like it all trickles down to training your brain to think differently because we all do self negative talk. We're all like, oh, this don't look good. Oh, I look fat today. Oh, I could do better, right? When we continuously talk negative about our own selves, we start to believe those voices in our head that are saying those negative things. So I challenge you, let's take a step back. Let's think positively, right? Take care of yourself. Go on a walk for 30 minutes, right? I know a lot of people hate working out. I am one of those people. Now that I don't know how I did it when I was an athlete, but now that I'm like not, I'm just like I hate working out. I always make an excuse. Like I don't have the time. But then I'm like I don't like how I look. So you got to do something, right? Take care of yourself. That is one of the most important things that you can do, right? Have a great self-esteem. Another thing, number 4. We're just gonna go down a list here. I got them right here. Number 4, right? Surround yourself with positive people, right? What I mean by that is when you surround yourself with positive people, you start to have a more positive outlook. When you're around people who are always negative, it just ruins the whole mood, right? Because if you're around someone who has a low self esteem, that's going to rub off on you. People's bad habits, the more you hang out with people, the more you start to kind of not act like them, but the more they rub off on you, right? You see it all the time when you're hanging out with friends. You're like, oh, you sound just like so and so, or oh, you act just like so and so. Because when you're around people, the people you surround yourself with are the people you're going to be with. And when I think back in life, like I feel like I had two directions in my life, right? I grew up in a very low income city, very underserved. And I have friends who are successful as hell. They're doctors, they're teachers, they're engineers, etc. And then I have friends who are in jail for murder, selling drugs. I have friends who've been murdered. These things, I feel like I always had a path that I had to choose. I could have hung out with the wrong crowd and got into the wrong things, or I could have stayed in the books and chose to do something differently. And it sounds like it's easy. It does sound like it's easy. But when you surround yourself with certain people, those tendencies start to rub off on you. And you don't necessarily really notice it because at a young age, we're so young and naive. We don't really understand the impact our decisions can have. And I think as time got old, like as I got older, I realized I had that choice. In the moment back then, I didn't think like, oh, like if I hang out with these people, like blah blah blah. Like, nah, that's just it's just how life works. But when I look back, I'm like, I really had a choice. I could have easily followed this direction or this direction. But that's because I surrounded myself with people that were like me, that thought like me, that were positive, that had a good work ethic. And that's the thing is you just have to find that niche of people because when you surround yourself with good people and positive people, you're going to start to have a more positive outlook on life, which will help with your self confidence. Because if you're constantly thinking negatively, it's going to lower your self esteem, and you're going to have a poor self esteem. At that point, you're not going to be confident in your abilities. So surround yourself with the positive people. This next one I'm about to tell you is huge, right? Refrain from negative self talk, right? I've been having negative self talk in this whole episode, talking about, oh, I look fat. I feel fat. I don't feel like I've looked good. That's all negative self talk. And when you constantly beat yourself down, like I said before, you're going to start believing that stuff. So, Gabby, sorry, guys. She's funny. But when you think of negative self talk, you got to change that topic from I can't do this to I can do this. I look fat or I can do better, right? It's always having those positive reinforcements. It's so easy for us to negatively talk about ourselves because, like I said earlier, we're our biggest self critics, but we have to change it to I can't to I can, right? I can't do anything right. I can do better next time. It's those little things that we change that can change the whole outlook on ourself and our self confidence. Like I said, we just got to be confident in our own abilities, right? And the last thing I'm going to leave with you is act like you feel confident. What does that mean? Act as if you feel confident, right? You don't gain self confidence by sitting around just doing nothing, right? You have got to believe in yourself, and you just got to change the way you feel, right? It's a behavior. So if you change the behavior, you can make it happen, right? Self confidence is something I feel like I'm always going to struggle with. And it's something that I have struggled with for about 28 years. But to be honest with you, I have everything I need to be successful in life. I know I'm capable of doing anything. I know I do a damn good job in my job. I know I kill it when I do this podcast. I know I create amazing graphics. I know I'm capable of doing these things. But the reason why I have self doubt, the reason why I have self confidence issues is because I do those six things, right? I do those six things. I compare myself to other people. I don't create boundaries sometimes. I don't take care of myself sometimes. I don't spend time with positive people sometimes, right? I don't refrain myself from doing negative self talk. I don't act confident sometimes. Those are things that I do on a daily sometimes that cause me to doubt my abilities, that cause me to self doubt. I know what I'm capable of. I know I can do it. I know I have to be better. And honestly, I'm working at it. I'm working. I'm a work in progress. I know that. But I'm trying to be better. I really am. And I challenge you with me. Like, let's start this journey together. Let's continue to work on ourselves. Let's believe in ourselves because we can accomplish anything we set our minds to. We just have to be our biggest cheerleaders because no one else is going to do it. I'm not going to say no one's going to cheer for you, but no one's going to cheer for you or have your back the way you do, right? You got to love yourself and you have to put yourself first. Don't be afraid to say no. Stand up for yourself because guess what? You matter, you're important, and I love you. Remember that. This world is a better place because you're in it. So believe in yourself, love yourself. You're killing it, kings and queens. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you give us a follow on all social media platforms. It's at Ignite Your Why. That's INGYTE. ING. I Ignyte. I always spell it wrong. I never realized I spelled it wrong. It's Ignyte. That is so funny. But make sure you give us a follow. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, turn that post notification bell on so you always be reminded. We are so close to getting 100 subs. I know it's a slow growth, but share, subscribe. Again, I love you guys. And always remember, guys, find your purpose, ignite your why, and I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.